As the ANC Youth League elective conference has been delayed by nearly 40 hours, with delegates claiming names are being imposed on them by party elders. The young lions have been gathering outside the Oasis Lodge in Mokopane, where the conference is due to take place, but it has now emerged that it has collapsed. But let me not go there and get our reporter to tell us a bit more on the events there. Pelane, what is the latest?
Well, definitely, Ndandla, as you rightfully put it, from around 10 o'clock yesterday on Friday, we were expecting that this particular conference will go ahead, and there were issues around the registration. They continued throughout the day yesterday. Even today, there were progress as far as registration is concerned, but there were also meetings of the PCPC, and that is the preparatory committee for the conference here in Limpopo, to try and ensure that the conference does go ahead. There's a lot of preparations, even where I am. I'm sure later on we'll show you that there was quite an intent to have the conference sit, but we now have learned that it has collapsed. Let me bring in the spokesperson for the PCPC, Dan Madibana, just giving us an indication. Dan, you've been in meetings all day, even from yesterday, and almost 40 hours later, your credentials are not coming forth for you to say you now can sit, running a risk of being nullified should even continue. Give us an indication and clarity as to what is going on currently.
After prolonged and robust engagement, where we adopted both political report and organizational report, and when we're dealing with issues of credentials, we have realized that in one region of Vembe, there is issue of duplicate in terms of delegate, and the leadership there not agree in terms of who's supposed to be a delegate. So we had an engagement where we should share wisdom as the members of Provincial Congress Preparatory Committee, and we arrived to a decision that we must postpone the Congress, necessarily because we want to be meticulous in our approach to this Provincial Congress. We do not want to continue, whereas as the Provincial Congress Preparatory Committee, we do not know who is the right candidate, who is the right delegate, and who's right between those who are differing from Vembe. We want to have a process. We agreed that on Tuesday we will have a Provincial Congress Preparatory Committee that will meet, but also to have a way of verifying delegate, not only for Vembe, will also verify in all regions, so that this matter does not arise again. So our approach or our decision for us to arrive at this collective decision is to ensure that we do not at all have issues or leave loopholes for people to take this Congress to court. But however, I must admit that in terms of registration, this was slow, and if it was not slow, we were going to pick it up yesterday, and maybe we could have came to amicable solution. But we are not in a rush. We knew that this rebuilding process is not going to be a smooth process. There's going to be it was going to be difficult for us to do that because we are rebuilding, and we must not be in a rush. Although we wanted to have a Congress, we said let us stop so that we do not have problems with court after this electing leadership.
Let me now ask about the collective here now. You feel that you felt that you guys were ready. I would assume that you also felt that the delegates that were coming in here were already verified. I would only understand that your process is then coming to say we are ready for conference and we feel all the regions and the branches are ready, therefore we want this Congress to sit. Would you not have picked that up before you even set up a date?
That was our understanding until other leaders from the region of Vembe, where the regional secretary and the regional chairperson could not agree that the list that was sent was not the right list. So we had to listen to those issues and try to resolve them. So
wasn't it the collapse maybe part of not only about agreeing on who's here, but agreeing who should then be the leaders of the coming out of this particular conference? We are now talking about the number of lobby groups which were there, and ultimately not even agreeing that this is the kind of, or in your terms, slate that should then come through into the progress. You may be in the issue. You may be the provincial preparatory committee, but I'm quite understanding that it is in your interest as well to know who will then come through to contest here. What then was the problem?
Lobby groups are allowed in the organization, and as far as we know, the Congress was postponed due to the issue that deals with the credentials. If there is an issue of lobby group, is something that this collective were not aware of. Yes, people are, it's an elective Congress, people will have their own interest, but as far as the issues were debated there, they were robust, but they were not informed anyway by those who might have interest in terms of leadership where they want to be. But as far as we know, it's about credentials. And the fact that there is a contest, that is why we wanted in our approach to make sure that we must not leave any loophole. Hence, we arrived and collectively we arrived to that amicable decision without anyone in the Provincial Congress Preparatory Committee opposing it, because we all understand that at the end of the day, we must have Congress that is credible.
As we conclude, perhaps, is it as well a force to insinuate that some so-called elders were actually meddling in your program, hence you were unable today to sit here because they had particular interest on who becomes the chairperson and their collective, and in turn may have a rippling effect on the coming conference of the African National Congress mother body, which is the Limpopo Provincial Conference in June?
Human beings in their nature will have interest in terms of who must lead. But what you must understand here, the ANC Youth League and the delegate here, we are not the ANC Youth League of non-thinkers. We are ANC Youth League that can think for its own. Whoever might have interest will not influence these delegates in terms of what posture they must take. They are going to be freely elect their own leadership without fear and favor. There is no one in the ANC, irrespective of position, irrespective of the power that they might think they have, that can intimidate our delegate. We are rebuilding, and we have ensured as we were moving through BGMs that we are building an organization that has a thinking of its own. So we are not scared of leaders, and for them to have interest, I mean, it's normal, they are human beings, but they will not intimidate us.
Dan Madibana, thank you very much. He's the spokesperson of the PCPC here in Limpopo. That's the preparatory committee to ensure that the conference does sit that of the African National Congress Youth League, and he says that there is no meddling as far as the so-called elders is concerned. They are a collective of thinkers and not non-thinkers, as he already put it, and therefore the collapse of this particular conference is duly and solely on the issue around credentials, not what Newzroom Afrika was completely hearing, but I'm sure him clarifying that might put some different kind of a spanner into the works.